Hello and welcome to another episode of A Tad Bit Older. My name is Pearl and we have Will with us today. Our guest this week, did we decide are you Will or Matt on here?
Let's stick with producer.
I feel like every week I change it, so
it's up to you.
It's like whatever mood I'm in.
That's true.
And since our guest today knows him as Will, he is producer Will today.
Producer Will.
Yes. So our guest today is Sara Bishop. She is a photographer. Wedding photographer, family photographer. She does the whole damn thing. Branding. She is amazing. She actually photographed our wedding 3 years ago now. And we love her. She's amazing.
It's been so long.
Welcome. I know.
Thank you.
Tell us who you are and what do you do? Who's Bish?
It's funny. Bish was invented in 2019. But I'm Sara too, and it's kind of interchangeable now. I feel like Bish was like the work personality, but I've kind of grown in through that, and now Bish and Sara are interchangeable. I'll actually change it in my email. Sometimes I sign it Sara, sometimes I sign it Bish. It's just whatever I'm feeling.
You're like Will, Matt.
Yeah. whatever.
And is the Bish, is that a play on your last name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it is. Bishop is my last name, and so Bish is the shortened version of that. But it's also because I can be a little Bish sometimes.
Yeah. In a good way, though.
Yeah.
I think that's what made me drawn to you when we were choosing our wedding photographer. I wanted someone that I could be myself with. I wanted. I think I told you this in our, when we had our, interview, I said, I want the people there on that day, to feel like friends and family. I don't want it to feel like strangers, and I want to have a good time. And you totally were, instantly, I felt like you even came to our Friendsgiving after that.
I know, that was so fun.
I felt like we were so, and, you totally, we'll have to put some pictures up, but you totally, I had video, and I was not happy with the video. And I was like, oh my God, please let the pictures. And when the pictures came, I was like, yes, that was my wedding day. You totally captured our day. Exactly how, I remember telling Will, these pictures look how I felt that day. It looked how we felt and how, so you really brought, you know what I mean? You can look at pictures amazing. And sometimes the pictures are they look better than the wedding. But I felt exactly how the photos looked was exactly how our wedding felt. So
good.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
I love hearing that. You were so fun, and your staff that you brought with you was amazing. So that's a little plug. If you guys need a wedding photographer, hit her up.
Yes.
But tell me, so when you were younger, when did you know that this was the path you were going to take? What did you do before this?
I've always done photography. Mm-hmm. So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had a photography class. It was my elective. I didn't want to be in this class. All of my friends were in a different class, and I was going to the office after class to change my elective. Mm-hmm. Dead set.
Yeah.
And then my teacher, who I actually still talk with sometimes, on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah, she reaches out to me. She put on a careers that you can have in photography sort of, educational video. And the Gap ads were really popular at that time. This was oh my gosh. I don't even know what year was it.
Don't say.
We always
this is when the Gap was popular.
We always age ourselves on this. That's why it's
another
called.
time.
That's why it's called A Tad Bit Older. We're just a tad bit older.
But this is when the Gap ads were popular, and so it was showing commercial photography for the Gap ads. And I left that class and I was set. I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is so cool. Obviously, I don't do commercial photography for the Gap, but then that led me into going to ASU for photography.
Wow,
and
you actually majored in this.
I did. Yeah, I went to ASU for photography, and I started my business at 18.
Oh my gosh, what was I'm always so impressed with young entrepreneurs. What was that like?
I kind of didn't want to do it at first. I had a friend who encouraged me to start, and she was just like, you can do it. It's going to be great. You're going to be good at this. And so I started, and then people wanted to hire me, and then I got my first wedding, and I shot my first wedding, and I was 18 years old, and I don't even know how, why? I've never done this before.
What was your first job, though, besides the weddings? Like, what?
My first, actual career?
Like, your actual paying photography job?
Oh, it was an engagement session.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so once you did the engagement session and then people liked it, they hired you for a wedding. Did you know when you became a photographer that weddings were going to be your thing?
No, not at all.
You just thought you would take like lifestyle, like family, like photo type stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I started with this engagement session, and he was a peer. Like, he was in photo classes with me. Or
Love it.
I don't even remember what classes, honestly, but he was in a class with me, and he was engaged and he needed photos. And so we were like, okay, well, I'll do them for you.
So you do your first wedding. Tell me what that's like, because weddings are a big deal. Like,
yeah,
you, like I just said, you are responsible for creating that lasting memory.
Yeah,
for someone.
Well, hold on. Do you know it's a big deal your first time doing a wedding? Like,
no idea.
Okay, you're just like, I'm there
absolutely not.
You're 18.
Okay. I'm 18 years old.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I am in black and white film photography, like, classes, you know? I have a black and white film camera. Well, black and white film is what you put in it, but I have a film camera. I shoot the entire wedding on film. Like, it's not
digital, right?
I had no
That's
idea.
What you mean?
Yeah, it's
film,
not
like,
digital.
these have to be...
They have to be developed. They have to be printed. Yeah. You can't see what you're shooting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're just shooting.
I just shot it.
And how did they come out?
I wish I still had them. I don't know. I don't remember.
Wow.
But they were really happy with them.
So
obviously.
you shoot and you had to print them and give them to them.
Yeah, we developed them and printed them.
I forgot about
in my
that.
own lab.
Oh my God. So you had your own lab at home?
No. So one of my friends who was older at the time, he was like, oh, I'll help you out. I've done this before. So he came with, and then I think we developed them at school.
That's so...
To be honest.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah.
And so the people... So while you're there, like Will said, you're in the moment. You're shooting these. At that moment, are you like, oh, fuck, this is a big deal?
No,
like, you're just like doing your thing.
no.
Like, you jump into creative mode.
At that time, it was just like, okay, we're gonna photograph a wedding. We're just doing it.
Yeah,
like,
just what
you
you're doing
don't
today.
even,
You don't think about like the magnitude. Or
No.
At what point did you realize like, oh shit, this is a big deal? Or did that ever happen?
No, not then. I think probably within the last 5 to 10 years was when I really realized
Like, oh shit,
what I'm doing. Yeah.
This is like a moment I'm capturing.
And I've done this for 20 years now.
Yeah.
So like the first half of my career, I was just like, la-di-da, okay. I'm creating photos.
Have you ever had someone come back and say like, no, this wasn't it?
They didn't like them?
They didn't like
No.
Really?
Actually, no. I've never had that happen.
I mean,
Isn't that
what
crazy?
do you do? Because I know when I got my video back and I told you like, I'm not happy, I didn't like it. Like, what do you, if that ever happened to you, how do you even overcome that? Because it's done. The moment's gone. It's not like, let's go back and reshoot it.
Yeah. I think the thing about photos is you get thousands. And as long as there's like the frameable ones, the one like, you know, you need a handful.
That's true.
Those are the ones you put in your albums. Those are the ones you're putting on your walls. As long as those exist, you're going to be happy. With a video, it's like re-editing. Like you have to remake this. You can't get raw footage back that you missed. If I don't know what I would do if that happened. I would make sure that my client was happy 100%. But I don't think that would happen because it's the education before the wedding.
Yeah.
Like you have to understand what are you walking into? What is this client looking for? Like what do they like about what I do already? How am I going to amplify that for them? It's not just like I'm doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
Yeah, I do feel like
to tell you the truth, like when we went in, like when we got married, we're shopping photographers and we're looking for DJs and stuff. I never thought that it wouldn't go well. Like I don't know why. I just thought
because you think these are professionals.
Yeah.
They're doing this all the time.
Yeah.
They know like which angle, they know the best spot to stand in. They know where the shot's going to be. And it was so funny because my sister said, you have a lot of people here taking video and photos. I was like, really? I didn't even notice. Like, I didn't notice. And I said, yeah, I do. Because I want, like, I'm a very particular person and I like things a certain way.
Yeah.
So the fact that I got everything I wanted without asking, like, I think it's hard when you're having any type of big event. You don't know what you want. Like, in a sense, like, you don't know what you want till it's been given to you. And you're like, oh, yeah, like, I didn't realize this was a good shot. I didn't realize that I want, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's important because I've never gotten married. Yeah. Like, obviously, you want a picture with your family and, you know, the photos that you said. But I love the photos you captured were, like, there was even, like, some blurry ones. There was some black and white ones. Like, it really felt how I felt in that moment.
Good.
You mentioned that you had, and I wouldn't say like a mentor, but have you had a mentor or a coach to help you kind of guide you as you're navigating this as an entrepreneur?
Yes and no. I had my photography teacher when I was in high school. And then it didn't really exist much. Like there weren't people who have gone before you and, you know, blazed the path that you could learn from like there are today. There wasn't YouTube. There wasn't anything like online that you could learn from. So it was my peers and it was whatever I could like figure out on my own. And so now, you know, I mentor others.
I love that.
Thank you. And I reach out in specific areas to find people who do certain things really well and learn from those people.
I love that. I think that's so important. And I love that you help mentor and coach other people.
No gatekeeping.
I was just going to say
gatekeeping.
That
Absolutely.
is like our rule number one. Like I don't like people who gatekeep.
Yeah.
Do you feel like in the photography community, are you guys competitive?
I was
like,
gonna ask that.
is there like?
I was gonna be like, let's get messy.
No, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like, is there drama? Is there like there? You know, because sometimes you go to these popular places to take photos, and there's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, are you just like, oh shit, James is here again? I fucking told him this is my spot, and now he comes here. Like, does that kind of stuff happen?
I feel like, I mean, I want to say yes, it can happen with the like petty people in general in any industry. I think that newer photographers, it happens a lot. They don't quite understand like courtesy, etiquette. Yeah. And so in the Facebook groups, there's always somebody popping off about,
ooh, what happened? Tell me about the Facebook group. What's in there?
Gosh.
What kind of conversations happen in the Facebook group? I want to know.
That's for another time.
Let's not name names.
Because I know my Girl Scout Facebook group. Oh, there's some petty moms in there.
Yeah, I try to avoid it. You know, I get the notifications and I look to see what's going on, but it's like there's a lot of stuff that can happen that you don't need to be a part of that. And when you get past a point of like, you've learned a lot, you have the experience, you have the people that you know that are going to support you, you're just kind of past that.
Yeah.
So I feel like now where I'm at, there aren't a lot of dramatic situations that are going to come up within the wedding industry, within photographers. We try to support each other as much as we can.
Yeah. There's enough work to go around.
Yes, absolutely. There's enough work to go around. And then I photograph different weddings. I photograph unique weddings. I photograph the anti-brides, the things that aren't like super traditional and basic.
I wanted mine to be like not traditional, but then
yours wasn't traditional.
I feel like it was though. I'm like, man, I wish I wouldn't have had this. Like, why did I do that?
Ooh,
but I think everyone feels that regret. After
You
weddings.
guys had so many cool things. It's not, being non-traditional isn't about like sticking to specific things all the time. True. It's about incorporating the meaningful things to you.
Okay.
Making sure that all of that is within your wedding.
Love it.
Yeah. What were you going to say? Well,
we talk about, because Groundhog's Day just passed, and we always talk about like, what day would you redo? There's so many things I do.
Love this.
And I'm always like, I would redo my wedding, because you can do it different so many ways. You know what I mean? Because although we did have a great time, we could have invited like just our friends.
Yeah.
Or we could have invited
Yeah, it would be fun.
family,
I love when he says that. He's like, it was one of my favorite days.
Yeah.
He's like, so I would
So I
love
want
to
to do it again.
Yeah, he's like, I would love to do it again and do it in so many different
But I
ways.
was the
Yeah.
one who said I would never get married.
Oh,
And I was like,
snap.
I ain't getting married. And then I found the venue. I felt like
He's the one who like orchestrated the whole thing.
I was like, man, this is kind of fun, man. I like this. And then now that we did it, I was like, man,
Next career.
If I could do that.
Yeah, he was like, shit, we can
Wedding
throw
planner.
weddings. Yeah. That wasn't hard. We can plan weddings.
Yeah, but definitely I would like to do that over and over in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Small, large, family, friends, like so
Yeah.
many different ways. It'd be so cool to
Yeah,
do that.
it'd be nice to see it. So going back to what you said about you like doing weddings that are non-traditional, but with so many photographers, like there's so many photographers that someone could hire for any occasion, including their wedding. What makes you stand out? Like what have you done that carves you out and makes you like different from the rest?
Yeah. In 2019, 2020, 2021 was when I started this like huge rebrand of going towards anti-traditional. And that was not popular at the time. I feel like when 2020 hit, that's when like micro weddings were happening and people were really leaning into things that were more meaningful and not necessarily just like, oh, we're doing a wedding for wedding things.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. And so I was kind of ahead of the curve in that respect. But I think it's because I'd been doing weddings for so long. Like I just was tired of pink and gold and blush and ivory. And I was just tired of those types of weddings.
Yeah.
Not that they weren't beautiful. I just was done with them. I was getting really bored and there was nothing interesting happening.
You weren't getting that creative spark because you have to
didn't have a
feel.
spark.
You have to feel it when you're in a wedding. Like, ooh, this is a good shot. Ooh, this is cool. Like, yeah. So, I love that because you're right. I feel like during the pandemic, people were having to get creative with their because so many. I mean, how did that affect you with so many events getting canceled?
Yeah, it was crazy. I had a wedding that was supposed to happen, I think, like the week after the world shut down. And everyone in the event industry was just like,
what do we do?
Scrambling. We have no idea what's happening. And so unfortunately, a lot of things got pushed that year. A lot of things got canceled. A lot of them got changed to just something else. Like, oh, well, if you ever need a portrait session, sorry, your contract's been paid and we can't, you know, we've never been here before. We don't know what we're doing. But it made 2021 and 2022 like really crazy.
Yeah.
And there was a big boom for a little bit. And I think it just really taught a lot of us, including myself, just like the value of what we do. It's not guaranteed that we're always going to be doing this. We're not, you know, for certain that we're always going to have the same types of relationships, jobs, anything. So it's kind of just like seize the moment when you can.
Yeah. And with 2020 happening and like you said, contracts were paid. So there was no like refunds. But did 2020 cause you to kind of make changes to the way you run your business, or did you already kind of have things tightened up?
Well, it definitely made all of us look at our contracts. Everybody was like, okay, well, we have to add some things in. But it wasn't, I mean, for me personally, because I'd been doing this for forever, I kind of had things in there that were like the force majeure clause. It was already in there. And a lot of newer photographers were like, oh, I need to add this thing that's about like this pandemic that's happening now. And a lot of the older photographers were like, well, yeah, it's called force majeure. Why don't you have that? Like, that's what this is right now.
Have you ever had someone cancel a wedding, like after they've paid and set the date?
Just the one that was right after the world shut down. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just
I
that
was going to
one.
ask about that one. So they didn't reschedule. They didn't have another. They just kind of cut their losses.
Yeah.
And that did. Oh my gosh. Did they
I haven't
ever
heard
get
from
married?
them. I don't know. I told them I was just like, okay, well, just keep me updated, whatever is going to happen. But
Oh, how sad.
They took it as a sign.
Oh no.
oh, stop it. No, I think they probably did something like just cozy
Small.
themselves.
Exactly,
They, you know, they wanted to get married. So
Yeah, that's true because we got married in 2022 and I remember feeling not rushed, but feeling like I need to book these things because everything was opening up and people were now getting married. So I did feel a little.
But you also see those clauses in the contracts we were signing saying like if anything happened,
they made me so nervous.
Or they're like
they do. They make
like,
you so nervous.
We'll change it to next year, and we're just like, how does that work? Like
I've had I remember when I was going through the process, I seen someone say that they had a clause, like they added their own to the contract, like well, if it needs to be rescheduled, like have you ever had that, like where people negotiate the contract with you, or it is what it is? Like these people were like saying like we negotiated in our own contract with the photographer that if X, Y, and Z happens, like if we need to cancel or reschedule, and I was just like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Because you're, I mean, as the client, as the client, you're at the
but she doesn't have to take the job. Like she'll just be like, this seems unreasonable.
This is,
I'm not gonna do that. Like,
I just feel like as the client, you're at the mercy of the the vendor that you're hiring, because it's like,
well, your agreement should, when you read it, a lot of my couples don't, but when you read it, I don't know if you did, Pearl.
I skimmed it.
When you read it, it should be there to protect both parties. It's not just for the sake of, the vendor, person making money off of you. Like, that's not what it's for. It's not to protect them. It's to protect you too. So if a client was wanting to change a whole bunch of things, that for me would be more like a red flag of where is this going down the line? Like I'm happy to look at my contract. I've had a bunch of lawyers for clients. None of them read it and go, I want to change this and this. Yeah. They all read it and go, oh, this sounds great. I will sign here. And that's it. So if somebody's wanting to change it, it's tipping off some things in my head of what's going to happen later. Yeah. Are you going to be
this going to be a problem? Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about rebranding, and I think we were in the midst of your rebranding, and probably I love your rebranding.
Thank you.
It was so fun.
Thank you.
Like she's so cute after you get married, and she sends you like this little package.
I still do that.
And you record yourself while you're opening. We couldn't because we.
That's okay.
But she sends you like little goodies to have
your date night box,
and her lead up to our wedding. Like everything was perfect.
Thank you.
Like it was so like it was like, hey Bish, your wedding's like in 20 days. It was like a nice little countdown, and it was like remember this, reminder that.
Yeah.
I thought like the paying process was like I was comfortable with like my deposits and making my like, okay, now it's time for this. I don't even remember if I made payments or if I paid like a deposit in.
I don't remember.
But tell me what that rebranding was like for you.
Yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard. You kind of have to just like dig really deep and decide what's the face that you're putting out into the world of yourself, of your company, and how do those things go together, and who do you want to attract? Who's your ideal client? That's something that you have to think about when you're rebranding. And I wanted funky weddings. I wanted things that were going to be different. I wanted the disco ball weddings. I wanted the colorful weddings. I wanted the really random, unique venues. So I've eased out a little bit of like, I would say congratulations. I would have fuck that noise. Like I've had all of that. I've eased out of that just a little bit, but it's still completely anti-traditional branding. Yeah.
And you do have when you did that rebranding, did you attract more of what you were looking for?
Yes, immediately.
Yeah.
And couples who I think wanted to be cool by association. Yeah. Like they weren't necessarily having a wedding that was super different, but they were like, oh, Right.
I think
we want to be cool.
I think it inspired me too to try to
think outside the box.
Because we don't want to be traditional, but I think people get stuck into like, this is what an event, a wedding is
easy,
supposed to,
especially when people are like, stand here, do this, take this, So you're kind of like so busy with all this stuff. You're like, okay, I'll just do what kind of is expected to me or expected of me. And then it just comes out traditional. You know what I mean? So like if you have an idea in mind and you're like, I really want to execute this. And then you're like, we can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's different.
Let's make this
yeah,
work.
let's make this work.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you, when you're talking to your clients and you're working through, because it's a creative process that you're going through.
Yeah.
How do you guide them so that, like I said, with us, I really felt like you helped me think outside the box, and that kind of reshaped my wedding a little bit. Like, oh, maybe we want to do this. Maybe we don't have to do it that way. We don't have to have this person do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had our friend officiate our wedding, and we wrote the whole thing ourselves. So
It was a beautiful ceremony.
oh, thank you. It
Yeah,
was so
I
fun.
remember it. It was so beautiful.
But tell me, when you're in that creative process with your clients, like how do you guide them through that and work them through that process so that you help them bring their vision to life?
Yeah, I think a lot of times now that's more so the wedding planner's job. I pretty much only photograph weddings that have planners now, like full-on planners. I know Carrie was like,
Right.
but you are so type A that you planned your wedding.
I'm glad you said it.
I know I am. I didn't think anybody else noticed though.
She's like type A, but like low key trying to be type B. I'm like,
I
Oh, I know. When we
can't
want to
help
be
it.
so
you're
organized,
in
and
type
you're
B
like,
clothing. You're not,
I can't help it.
So I think a lot of that comes down to education, though.
Yeah.
So maybe the wedding planner is giving them different ideas and things, but like when we have our engagement session, I'm going to talk about their wedding and they're going to tell me all the different things that they're planning, and I might plant a little bug, just a little seed somewhere of how things could be different. But for the most part, I've attracted a lot of couples that are already on that path, and they don't necessarily have to like have me tell them how to do things differently.
Right. That's what I loved about the process. And I think we were lucky that we had Carrie, who then brought us like to you and some of our other vendors, because you guys all kind of work and think the same. And I don't know if I told you or if I told Carrie, I said, I love that no one's telling me no.
Absolutely.
But everyone's telling me like, but maybe this would be better. You know what I mean? Like, I know, because you have this vision of how you want your day to go, but it's not realistic sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah.
So when I would bring ideas or things that I wanted to you guys, it would never be like, no, that's not going to work. It'd be like, have you thought about this?
I
like,
encourage you to think
because
this
I
way.
remember I told Carrie, I want the flower arrangements. I didn't tell Carrie. I think I told the florist that she sent me to. And I was like, this is, and she was like, that's very pretty, but those smell. And if you want them at your tables, people are not going to be able to eat because those flowers smell.
No.
And I was like, I never even thought of it. It was like baby's breath. And she's like, no, baby's breath smell. She's like, legit or like real baby's breath smell. Yeah. She's like, and as much
have
as
an
you,
odor.
she's like, as much as you want, she's like, it's going to stink. And I was like, she's also, if you're good with that, she's like, but I would suggest something else. And I was just like, okay. So I was just like, I loved that part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you guys, I think, did a lot of that, because you don't want to be told no. You want to be told
absolutely.
like, because we don't know. We're like, you guys see so many weddings. You're there, like, this ain't gonna work.
but also get a wedding planner for the experience. Put it in your budget, no matter what it is.
Oh my God, it was the best money I ever spent.
Talking with somebody whose job it is to like talk to other people and get everything orchestrated or delegate.
You basically are paying for an assistant, a wedding assistant. Yeah.
And
like she did everything. I was like, can you follow up with Sarah and ask this? Can you? And she's like, let me get back to you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like it's like your friend who's out there and she's just going
advocating for you.
Absolutely. She's going on little missions. She's doing all this stuff for us, and it was amazing. So if you want the real wedding experience, get a wedding planner.
Oh my God, I felt so legit with a wedding planner.
Yeah, it was cool.
I was like, my wedding planner's calling.
I gotta take this.
I gotta take this. I have a meeting with my wedding planner. Shout out to Carrie. We love you. She killed it. You guys work so well together. How? And you have your own staff. Like you travel. You have Melissa. No, Alyssa. You guys were so great. I loved all three of you.
Thank you. I had Danielle and Shelly.
How do you assemble your team?
That's a really good question. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to decide who's going to be the right fit, and especially for certain clientele as well. So I have Danielle that I still will call on when I need a second shooter, but I primarily use Alyssa right now. And then Shelly she was my assistant at that time. And I think it was more of just like, I needed an extra set of hands. Like I was feeling really overwhelmed on a wedding day. And now that I work with planners, I don't necessarily need to have all those people. So I just primarily will have me and Alyssa.
Yeah, because I think I heard her saying like she was kind of keeping you on time or like helping you go through the list together, which I loved. I love that you had us prepare ahead of time a list of like family shots,
non-negotiable,
because there's so much going on and you don't want to be like, oh, and this person, oh, and like it, and I didn't even have to think about it. Like we didn't have to think about it. It was just like stand here, do this, do that.
And it was hot, so you're like, I don't want to move.
Dude, why the fuck was it hot
so
in October? Like why? And they even said
sweat.
they moved our cocktail hour inside
because it was so
hot.
Yes,
and it wasn't supposed to be.
Yes.
Today, if I had to do that, I would die because I do not do well with the heat. Like I'm surprised I didn't pass out.
I cried during our vows. I was hot. That's why I cried. Because I was just like, can we?
It's sweat. My eyes are.
I had all this stuff planned. I had a dance number, and I'm just like,
oh my god, we were so smelly at the end of the day. I was like, honey, you stink.
Oh my god,
and then he's like, I know. I was like, you walked around like this all night.
The adrenaline was just pouring out of me.
Literally.
I'm just like, and I just like, oh my god, I smell like I can't even leave. Like, oh my god, it was just the worst, man.
You were so there but not seen. Like,
oh yeah,
like when I think about the wedding, like my sister noticed it because she was like, wow, you sure have a lot of people here. And I was like, yeah, bitch, like of course
that's
I do.
Right.
But
I'm a celebrity.
But when I got the shots back, I was like, oh, I didn't even like see that. Like I didn't even know that picture was being taken. Like,
oh my god, it was a blur. Like I don't remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's always going to be a blur for you.
And it's so cool that the pictures are there because I don't remember none of those moments.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like what you said earlier about how the photos felt like your wedding day.
Yeah.
That's definitely what I strive for.
That was my first like thought when I got him. I was like, oh, thank God. Like, yes. Because I felt it. I know you felt it. And I was just wanted to hold on to that. And when I got my video back, I thought it was, and I was just like, yeah, it's video. You physically see people moving, which I think we lost. Did we lose that?
We haven't.
We haven't. Oh, thank God. I was thinking about the other day. I want to watch it.
The video.
But when I got the video, I was like, oh, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I almost cried when I seen the photos when you sent me the sneak peek, which was, by the way, so fast. Like I had a sneak peek by the end of the week. Like, but yeah, it really captured the day. It felt like the day. All the things that were important to me, like I know I stress, like because my dad is sick with early onset Parkinson's, I was like, this wedding is for my dad. Like it was so important to me to capture like the walk down the aisle, like the dance, the first, those things I wanted to be traditional for him. Yeah. And for me, because I know later. And so I'm so glad I have those photos to look back on. And then there was even shots I didn't even know I wanted that happened. And like, there was something so symbolic to me and my family that you wouldn't even know, but you took a picture of a blue flower. And for us, it just meant so much to us. Like it's meaningful to us in a personal way. So when we were flipping through and we seen a photo of just like, I don't even know where this blue flower was. It was just like growing somewhere in a bush somewhere. And you just on your own without even knowing took a photo of it. And it like, why, there was no like anything attached to it other than
it was at your venue.
It was there. Yeah. And so when we flipped through, we saw it, we both looked at each other and we just started crying. We're just like, oh my God. Like, it just kind of verified things for us. Like, that it reminded us of a loved one who had passed. And that was like, what's the word? Confirmation that they were with us. Yeah. So that was like, you know what I mean? Like you didn't even know, but just your attention to like capture beautiful things. And
absolutely.
So, I want to talk about your signature style.
Yeah.
Is that intentional? Has that just always been you, like the lavender hair,
like my personal
your
style?
Your personal signature style.
I have had lavender hair for a very long time, and I didn't know how to upkeep it. And so it would be lavender when I would get it done, and then it would fade, and it would be like gray. And I was fine with it, but it wasn't until I really like learned that I could dye it myself throughout the process, because it fades. It's, pastel colors fade. Yeah. So I was able to learn that and like do the upkeep of keeping my hair lavender. And then it became more of like, oh yeah, the girl with the purple hair. Yeah. Like, we know you by that. Like, oh yeah, the photographer with the purple hair. But yeah, I've had it for a long time.
But was that intentional for your branding to kind of separate yourself? Because like you said, I mean, it worked out in your favor, you know?
Oh, yes. I mean, okay. Yes and no. So there are a lot of intentional things that I do to be remembered. Having purple hair isn't necessarily one of them, but it doesn't hurt.
What are some intentional things you do to be remembered? Because there's a lot of business owners out there who want to be remembered and want to set themselves apart. But what are some things you do?
Well, style-wise, the clothing choices for sure. Like a lot of wedding vendors wear black.
Yeah. I think you showed up in yellow at our wedding or something like that.
No, we were in black.
Oh, you were?
We were in black.
Why do I
Your
remember
colors
yellow?
were navy and black, so we wore black.
Why do I remember yellow?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm just thinking about your page. Like
Yellow's one of my branding colors. Yeah.
See, I remember. I remember you because of your branding.
Well, a lot of wedding vendors will wear black, and we make a point to match the color scheme of the day. So we did wear black for your guys' wedding because we didn't have navy, but...
Love it.
So a lot of my weddings, I just had a wedding in January and it was purple. So I got to wear purple. Mm-hmm. Everybody asked me, did you dye your hair just for the wedding? And I was like, no, I got hired because I had this hair.
I inspired the wedding color.
But that's one of the things I feel like is a little bit more memorable. So then when I'm out like at networking events, having the purple hair helps. But like, I just, you put a little bit of thought into what you're going to wear. I'm not going to wear like a black blazer because that's just kind of boring. That's what everybody's going to wear. So you just go with what is in, your branding style. And so for me, that's colors. That's purple hair. That's, I don't know, if I can wear something sequins and sparkly, I'm going to.
What's your life like outside of wedding season? Because you have, what's wedding season?
Yeah, wedding season now is basically everything but the summer.
Okay. Especially in Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So just like May, June, July, August.
Things kind of. What do you do in those kind of off seasons?
Work on my business. I, go through all the things that we don't have time to do when we're busy doing weddings. Working on myself, reading. I still will be doing family photos. I'll still be doing newborns. I'll still be doing, branding. A lot of inside sessions. So if it's in home or like in studio, a lot of that happens during the summer.
What's your favorite sessions to shoot? I'm sure you love them all.
Weddings.
Other than weddings, what's your favorite?
That's really hard. Honestly, I just did 2 in-home sessions. One was newborn and one was family. Mm-hmm. They were obviously both different age children. Mm-hmm. But being in their house, it wasn't pretentious. It wasn't like we're putting on this show.
Like a magazine cover or anything.
We're here. We're inviting you into our life during this moment, and we want it photographed. And so those types of sessions, those are really special.
I love that.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to people wanting to start their own business, number one, who have that self-doubt?
Oh my gosh, you're always going to have it. It's never going to go away.
Yeah. Even to this day, do you still doubt yourself?
Imposter syndrome all the time.
How do you overcome that? Because to me, you're amazing.
Thank you.
You're a professional. You would be the one I always refer, hey, you need a photographer, go here.
Thank you. Yeah. It's having clients and friends that are reassuring me, telling me, you are amazing, just like you said. But just continuing to keep going. And then once you reach a goal and you realize, oh shit, I actually did that. And then I think that just keeps fueling you to go and go and go.
What's it like for you to be a business owner, though? Because you can go get a 9-to-5 and collect a paycheck.
I couldn't get a 9-to-5.
You're like, I've been a photographer.
She's like, I fought my last boss. All right.
I mean, you could go take school pictures, I've
done that. Not my jam. Yeah. I've done that. I work part-time for True Society, which is a wedding dress store.
Ooh.
So I've always have like a side gig. Like you always need something else to just like get you out. I feel like I do my best thinking about my business when I'm not focused on my business.
Ooh, okay.
So
I like that.
Yeah. So I'm always gonna have something, but I'm never gonna have a 9 to 5. That's just I can't function like that. That's not who I am.
Why do you choose to be a business owner?
I think the freedom.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the freedom. My previous life partner would have said it's because I'm too bossy and I can't take direction from anybody else.
I feel like most entrepreneurs are like, I don't like, that's me. I'm like, I fucking hate talking to my boss. Like, I hate asking permission. I think that's why I work in a PRN position. Like, I'm going to choose when I'm working. You're not going to tell me when I'm working. But most,
really hard.
most business owners say you're always working when you own a business.
100%.
Where's that balance for you? How do you balance that out?
I try to stop working when the sun goes down.
Good.
So that changes during the summer, but
Because it goes down like at 9 o'clock here in Arizona.
but I still strive for like that dinner time, you know, give myself that
hard
cutoff.
stop. Okay, good. I love it.
I turn my apps off, my Gmail, my Instagram, all of that goes off at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night.
Love it.
Yeah.
Because you hear the bing and you, even though you don't want to, you're almost like,
Yeah.
have to look
I don't have the notification noises turned on.
Good.
So even if it's not like turned off, like the
You
you
won't
know
get
the
the
sleep function or whatever, I won't get the notifications, but I'll see it.
Okay.
If I go to look at a text or whatever I'm doing on my phone, I'll see that there's a notification and I have to read it. I have to see what it's about.
Yeah. So you kind of turn the whole
So
thing
it's
off.
it's grayed out. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have two phones or is business and personal the same?
Business personal same. Yep.
That's
Instagram
hard.
business personal is the same. I don't have two separate Instagram accounts. Yep.
That's challenging. I was talking to my hairdresser and she's like, I think I need two phones because she's like the family and the business
Yeah.
get connected and she likes to unplug too. Like I
Yeah.
think my esthetician's like, no, I shut everything off at this time. Like
I think that's partially why I just have it on that sleep mode. I mean, you can do that in the iPhone. It's
Right.
just like whatever. You set the times. It's like this app goes off at this time. So I set that up. I think that's the only reason why I survive.
yeah.
I got a bit of a taboo question here.
Okay.
I love tapping.
Ooh, spicy. How is AI fitting in photography?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
should I even say it?
No. I appreciate
good
that question,
honey.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question. It makes removing distractions from your photos so much easier. So that has been like killer. That's come in clutch for me.
Nice.
But it's controversial. There's
Right.
there's
I was
a
even
lot.
scared to ask you because you are a photographer. And
Yeah, because
okay.
I always
I
see
didn't want
people
you to
like,
get up and leave.
I ask AI to make my, my headshots for me, and then they come back, and I'm like, so what do you think about all that?
That's great. If that's what you want to do, go for it. That's not.
Yeah.
If that's all you can afford
Yeah.
and you need a headshot, go for it. But at the end of the day, you're not paying for the photo. You're paying for my expertise, my knowledge. You're paying for my experience and like the time that we're having together, this co-creation. Mm-hmm. You can tell AI whatever you want. You can tell it to make anything.
Right.
But it's not going to be the same as asking a person to do it.
AI will never have the vibe.
They don't pass the vibe
It
check.
doesn't pass the vibe, yeah.
But for you and your work, it's helped with editing.
Yeah, so it helps
Sped
with
things
removing
up there.
distractions.
I love that.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's nice that you're using it to your advantage, though.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
So that's something that I do for all photos is removing distractions. Like, we're on the street and there's like gross, I don't know, there's like gross litter or whatever.
Trash.
Or there's like a sign it's just distracting. It needs to come out. So I would spend lots of hours in Photoshop before AI. And now all we do is just select it with a brush and it
Nice.
just like
So
removes
the
it.
workflow got a lot quicker. That's
So
nice.
much faster.
Has anyone ever asked you to remove or add people that they didn't want in their wedding photos? Like, I'm no longer friends with this person. Can you do As of the wedding, we
Like, bro, you knew him then. Okay.
That sucks. I'm sorry. No and yes. So there will be a lot of like, oh, I want a photo that is this person and this person, but this person's in it. Can you take this person out? And then you like put them together. I haven't had that come to me personally from my clients, but I actually used to do a lot of like editing and retouching work for other photographers, and they would have me do that for them. So I have done it. And I love that. It's hard. That's not something that AI can really do.
Yeah. I thought about that too, because we have some photos from our wedding, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot. Like, I have a picture of him with his nieces and nephew. Yeah. But I forgot to do and then we have one with like their dad and his mom. And I was like, why didn't we add the kids to that one? And I thought about asking you to add them, but then I don't know why. Maybe I'm just weird, but I was like, but that's not real. That didn't really happen. Yeah. Like, it felt fake to me. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, I was like, they were there. And yes, I don't have a photo of all of us together. Like, I don't think I have I don't think I'm in the photo. You're in the photo. But I'm like, we don't have a family one of all of us. And I was like, I guess I could recreate it. I was like, but that doesn't feel authentic.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that's super important.
Authenticity is... it's key.
You know what's funny is my mom was out there trying to call shots too. She's like, this person, take a picture with that
How
person.
do you deal with family or wedding guests who are like, here, come take this picture. Or here. How do you handle that
every single
with
time.
So much grace? So you're not like, bitch, back up.
You're like, who is this? Just in case we fight.
How important is this person to you?
This person. It happens every single wedding. We kind of preemptively tell the bride and groom, the bride and bride, the groom and groom. We tell our couple, this is a list that we're going to go off of. And if anybody asks us for something additional during the day, we're going to do it at the reception because we have to get through this in order to stay on task. So
I do remember you saying that.
That's the same thing we tell whoever's asking us, you know, your mom, whoever, auntie, sister, whoever's asking. We accept their ask and we're going to be like, yes. We're always going to say yes. And we're going to write this down. We're going to do it at the reception. Or if we have time, we will get that done. Okay. Yeah, always.
Have you ever had a wedding go sideways? Like
a scuffle?
Like a scuffle?
Oh my goodness.
Like drama? Like
and do you still shoot the fight? Like,
I think weddings are just full of family dynamics.
So much. Life happens at weddings.
Yeah, I feel like so much. Weddings, funerals bring out the worst in people sometimes.
That's the time to get it out.
The emotions are heightened. So yeah, absolutely.
I know I was upset at a few things at my wedding with guests. I was just like, you mother. Was that noticeable?
No, that wasn't noticeable at your wedding. No, definitely not. I don't recall anything really dramatic, but I have heard a lot of stories from friends.
Wow.
Yeah. Of like bridesmaids and the groom in the bathroom. Oh. Like bad things.
Hate to hear it. Jeez Louise.
I mean, I asked.
There's been tables catching on fire.
Oh no.
I can see that happening.
I can see that too.
Yeah.
I was nervous about having so many candles at ours too.
We had
as long as you got them in the things.
Yeah, they were
the little.
We had some polite wedding crashers.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts about wedding crashers?
I've never
been aware of
notified. Yeah, I've never known.
Yeah, because you're just like doing your thing. You're like,
there's so much happening in my head during a wedding day that sometimes whoever I'm shooting with.
Did you eat at our wedding?
Of course.
I don't even remember. Yeah. I remember picking vendor meals, which I did not know that you had to do. But I remember in our contracts, I don't know if it was yours, but one of them was like, if you don't provide a meal, we will leave for our meal. We will take our hour. Okay. We will take our hour break and we will have, and I was like,
call out. It was mine.
And I was like, oh,
hopefully nothing cool happens because we're going to take
we're good. And I was like, food. I wasn't like, ew. I was just like, oh yeah, they gotta
Why
eat.
wouldn't-
eat.
why
Like
wouldn't
I
they?
didn't think
Yeah.
about that. Like that's what I'm saying. When you're planning a wedding, you don't think about those things. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, these are like your employees for the day, and they have to like
Yep.
eat. Which I don't remember. You guys like, was the meal good? I hope it was. But
It was barbecue.
okay, they fed you what we
Yeah.
got. Because I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
sometimes I've heard that they prepare a different vendor meal, and I'm pretty sure that our caterer said like, no, they're gonna get.
A lot of times when it's a buffet, that's what we also eat. But sometimes when it's plated, they plate us a different meal.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
It just depends. Like sometimes whatever your cheapest option is, like say you're getting, you have a steak option and a fish option, chicken option. Sometimes they'll let us choose. Sometimes they'll be like, you're getting chicken.
Yeah,
and that's what you're
We
getting.
have a lot of chicken
I
and
think
beans.
I think in our contract, our vendors were counted as like the
Guests,
guests,
yeah.
like our
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
I would
Were you
say.
able to have a little drink, or do you not?
I don't drink
What's
at
your
weddings.
thoughts about vendors drinking at weddings?
For me, it's a liability thing. As I get into higher end weddings, I don't want anything to happen and have somebody be able to say, well, you were drinking.
I seen you drinking, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
yeah, and that's why
Not gonna
X,
happen.
Y, and Z
Exactly.
happen.
Yes, but
That's a sticky
there
situation.
it can be a really sticky situation. There are vendors, especially like photo booth and DJ. A lot of them I hear will drink, and that's fine. If that's what you need to be able to do your job, that's fine. But you're not like taking the photos. You're not like planning the day.
I think it makes a difference. Though.
Having a drunk DJ.
I think ours
I
had
think
a.
our
I think
DJ
our.
was a little-
I know our DJ was drinking, and a lot of things made sense later. I was like,
no,
That's
he got
what-
a little too comfy.
I think we got a
Yeah.
little too comfy.
Okay,
But
What can you do?
what can you, like I said, I think, and I know it's totally not the same, but like as a hospice nurse, one of the things we always talk about, like our boss's stress is like, we only get one shot at this. Like these people can't die over again for us. That's the mentality, I believe, like
Absolutely.
that you care. Like we get one shot. We
Yep.
have to we can't be the reason why this day.
Oh yeah, 100%. There are so many backups upon backups upon backups of gear, of people. Like you have your network of other photographers that you trust, and if something happens to where you can't shoot that wedding, you can call on these people to be able to help you out. No questions asked. Like, okay, you're
My
sick.
backup for this day. Is that planned upon ahead of time? Like, hey, are you going to
it's
be
just
my backup?
unspoken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember in your contract too, it said if I'm not able to shoot, there will be someone like comparable to me who will show up and shoot that day.
That is
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's happening no matter what.
You like
It's
you're
happening.
you're human. You have a life, and,
Yeah.
and
you could get
things
sick.
can
You
happen
can
too.
break your heel. You can do so much.
your heel.
Because a guy at work just broke his heel, and I'm like, how you break your heel? Like,
That is crazy.
so now it's on my mind. Like I'm just like,
Have you ever injured yourself trying to get a shot?
Oh my gosh, probably.
Like
Not that
what's
I
your
remember.
pre-workout for weddings? Is there some stretching involved? Like to be like
Yeah, we do need to treat our bodies like athletes. I've done that a little bit more intensely recently and like gotten a little bit more into that, but definitely electrolytes, making sure that you're drinking a
Right.
gallon of water the day before.
wow, yeah.
So that you are well hydrated. We don't get to drink a lot of water on the day of. So just making sure that you're hydrated, eating a good meal
I
beforehand.
remember your assistant passing you
Oh, yeah.
like,
they're always on top of making sure
eat
I'm
something,
getting water.
drink something.
Yeah. Having snacks so that you can like shovel a protein bar right before the ceremony starts.
I remember our wedding planner Carrie too. Like
Yeah.
without us, like we were taking photos and she was like, "Here you
eat
go."
this. Yeah, eat this.
Here you go. And I was like,
'Cause you
oh
just
my gosh,
don't
I wouldn't even
realize.
have thought of that. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for feeding
Well, that's how
us.
people
Yeah.
like are talking, and then they like pass out because
Yes.
they haven't ate all day. Or
That-
they've been
Because
drinking
so
only.
much is happening
Yeah.
and then you're just drinking champagne or whatever
Yeah.
you're drinking. Yeah.
Dude, wedding vendors are my people because you guys are like so on it and you think of everything. Like, I feel like that's how I am like regularly. And my, like, when we go to parties, I'm always the one like, ooh, let me like move. You know what I mean? Like, you're always, I feel like you have to think ahead.
Yeah.
Of like what
Yes.
you have to see what's happening and then kind of think
She
ahead.
is not joking. She's moved the cake table before at a party. Like, you guys should have it here
This
because
is
this
not
is
good. The feng shui is off.
You know why? Because I've had enough parties and I've been to enough events.
Yeah.
You see the trouble.
I
Yeah.
see the trouble coming and
Yes.
I know that this is like, oh, I've never had a party for my kid before. It's my first time having like a friend party. I'm like, oh my God, please let me help you. Like, this is not working. This is going to be a problem.
Let me show you the ropes.
You don't know how many times I've stood there and cut cake. Like, or I'm like, this is how you cut a cake. Let me show you really quick.
Cutting cake is not easy.
Dude.
Let's throw that out there.
I only learned how to cut a cake like 2 or 3 years ago. I did not know.
The caterers need awards for cutting cake. Yeah. It's hard.
What's your ideal day leading up to like an event?
My Friday nights look different when I have a wedding the next day, at a venue.
Wedding the next day. What's your personal life like when you work weekends? Like that's your job is on the weekends.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would just be like anybody else who works weekends though, to be honest, you know. Servers, people who are in hotels, bartenders.
Do you miss your own family events or special moments because you're
photographing somebody else's?
I can't make it, Aunt.
Sorry.
I'm capturing someone's life right now.
Yeah. And that's definitely something that comes with the territory. A lot of wedding photographers who become moms, they don't want to do it anymore because they don't want to miss their kids' like sports games or, you know, whatever. Thankfully, I don't have that problem.
What's your, I don't want to say like photography would be someone's hobby, but some people could do it on the side.
Yeah.
Like, that's your job. So what do you do as a hobby? Like, what would you do on
I listen to audiobooks.
Cool.
Yeah, not fiction though. They're still business.
That's okay.
They're not photography related. They're still business books. And just like growth, mindset growth, you know, money books,
What's a
things
business
like that.
book that you would recommend right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh gosh, I'm not prepared for that answer.
Too many. Don't answer.
I'll have to look at my Goodreads.
Yeah, let us know. Share your. I'm always interested. I want to know like what successful business owners are reading. You know what I mean? I think that matters. Like, where are you getting your advice? What's your best money advice for someone running a business?
Oh my gosh. Don't ask me for money advice.
I know when I was talking to my esthetician, she's like, all my tips go into a savings account and that's how I pay my taxes.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? She's like, whatever I get in tips, it goes to a separate account and that pays my taxes.
However, that needs to be done. Absolutely. Having different buckets for different things has really helped me because you have to pay taxes, unfortunately. And depending on how businesses are set up, like mine is set up to pay estimated income tax quarterly, so I have to do that. So I have to like basically do my taxes every quarter and say, oh, I made this much, I have to pay this much. So I have like automatic withdrawals coming out, so everything is set up to just like when I get a deposit, it comes out and it goes in the buckets and I'm set.
Oh, good. I think that's what people worry about when they're starting a business. Like, how do I even navigate that part of it? But I'm like, I would hire someone to figure that out for me.
Oh, yeah. I have my tax person. Absolutely. QuickBooks is great for bookkeeping. It's not hard. Everything's automated.
Do you feel like, because you've been in business for 20 years, do you feel like running a business is easier now with all the technology and resources than it was when you were 18 years old?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also smarter, I think. I think I know a little bit more.
A little bit of experience.
A little bit more knowledge.
But yes, QuickBooks didn't exist. I remember like the first time doing my taxes was TurboTax, and I just was like, I don't know any of this. I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. But QuickBooks, it automates everything. It's so helpful. It's
being a
easier.
business owner, do you feel like you get to keep more of your money than paying in taxes for?
No.
I hear that sometimes, like the amount of taxes that business owners pay. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like I still pay that personally, but I think it's that. I mean, it's really like we said earlier, why are you in business? It's because you like the flexibility and the freedom that comes with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Will always says, like, if you could run your own business and make what you're making right now on your 9 to 5, would you do it? I was like, absolutely. Like, it would. I don't need to be like a millionaire. If I could earn an income and maintain my lifestyle working for myself, I would do that 100%, tomorrow.
Yeah. It's harder. I'm not gonna lie, it is harder, 100% harder. You have to have a lot of discipline. You have to I'm not a super scheduled person, and I had to learn how to be a super scheduled person.
I feel like you're totally organized.
Yeah, I had to learn that.
Yeah.
That's not like
so organization
me
is a
life.
must.
Yeah, organization is a must.
Time matters.
Time management, just figuring out like what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and then figuring out how to make those weaknesses better. Just always trying to better yourself is like, really, your business is you. So the only way that your business is going to grow is if you grow. And that means mindset. That means just like learning, knowledge, everything.
I love that.
I have a question for Bish.
Okay, Will.
What does retirement look like?
Yeah, that was my next question. Like, what's next? What's the end game? What's the goals?
Retirement as in like not
Like
wedding photography,
you're just done with and you're, up in age, and you're like, I'm just going to do this for the rest of my life. Like,
yeah.
Are you?
What's your exit plan?
Like, is photography always going to be a part of your life, or
I think it will. It's been
in some way
in my life for too long for it to
Right.
not be when I'm like done shooting weddings. But something that I'm learning is wedding photographers, wedding vendors in general have to have an exit plan because it is super physical and it's just very stressful. It's a lot of work. So last year I did start a company that is for brands. So it's brand strategy, brand photography. That's kind of part of my exit strat. I don't really know.
Yeah. No, I love the extra things that you do because I know, I think around our wedding, you were promoting the micro wedding, like finding, which I think is a great idea. And I wish I could have participated in it, but my wedding was already done and planned. Yeah. And I was like, telling people like, you want to get married? Because it's such a great idea. Like she finds the venue, she finds the vendors, and you just show up and get married. And
you're talking about iconic elopements.
Yeah. Iconic elopements. Yes. That is such a fucking good idea. Like I almost want to renew our vows just to do it.
Thank you.
That is such a good idea because there's so many people I think get overwhelmed with wedding planning.
Yeah.
And they don't want to do the whole traditional, like they just want to show up and get married and have their closest friends and family.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how I felt. Like, I loved our wedding. It was amazing. It was beautiful. But if I could do it again, I would probably do it smaller.
Absolutely.
So much smaller.
Yeah. And I don't know how it got so big, but you know how they say, like, the dress up the ante? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's things
we still didn't invite people.
Yeah. I mean, we only had 100 people. I think we had, like, 100 people. That doesn't feel like a lot, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So, yeah, I love the iconic elopement. That's such a great idea.
Yeah.
I love the... are you teaching the flat lay class?
Yeah, so
I could totally see you as a teacher.
Dove back in education. In 2018, I hosted a workshop and it was how to shoot film. And it was hard. It was a lot of work. It was very demanding. I didn't make any money. It was just like so much, but that was my first experience with it. So after that, I didn't really want to have much to do with education, and now I'm kind of dipping my toes back in. I had a like very impromptu workshop, if you will.
I love workshops.
Yeah, so I had that for my CRM Honeybook. And it was just with other business owners, and it was very impromptu, very casual. And then we ended up at the venue and they had a projector and they had everything, and I was like, oh,
this is legit.
I have to like hook up my computer and like show you everything. So I did that at the end of January, I think. And then, at the end of this month, I'm hosting a flat lay workshop. And so that is all the pretty details that you put down on the ground and take a picture of.
And when's that scheduled for, and where can they find out information about that?
Yeah, so it's for photographers. I have everything on Instagram right now for signing up, but it's going to be next week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know it's so pretty. I'm like, can I take this? What would I do with it? But only because I was like, I just want to go and see you and support
totally
you.
Come.
And
Thank you.
And go and like learn something new. I'm like, I'm sure I could use this somehow.
Yeah, you can totally come.
What's one thing you want to leave people with?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. There's so much to life that I think as long as we just keep going and we keep learning about ourselves and figuring out what you want, asking for what you want.
Yes.
Then,
I love that.
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
I'm sarabishop.com, and on Instagram, Sara B-E-E Bishop.
And we will tag her and share it. So if you're following along on our Instagram, a tad bit older, you can find her there, or our TikTok, Spotify, or YouTube, and we'll list her there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Pearl. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.